What is up, everybody? Piscean is back here, and in this video I want to go ahead and talk about more advanced astrology. And before our lungs collapse, subscribe, like, comment, share if you dare and care. Peace and love. We might actually change the name of this channel soon to Stoner Astrology. Stoner Astrology. I feel like stoners get so much hate for no reason. Anyways, we're going to go over the archetypes of art, trauma, and transformation. Alright? And in this video, we are going to apply the full rigor of the Sterling Forensic Astrology Protocol, or SFAP, and the Sterling Tensor for Creative Pathology to 10 iconic figures spanning music, film, and cultural provocation. Each case study includes the following: natal chart data, source and reliability, key planetary placements and aspects, progressions and transits at career-defining moments, original conceptual analysis, Sterling creative coefficient, lunar trauma index, etc., synthesis of astrological patterns with biographical outcomes. And our note here says birth times marked unknown, use noon or rectified data. These are noted and qualified. All analysis are retrospective and hermeneutic, not predictive. Alright, so first we're going to go over Sinead O'Connor, who was born December 8th, 1966 and passed away July 26th in 2023. She was born, like I said, December 8th in 1966. With the time being unknown, we have it rectified by the Sterling method to 11:42 a.m. GMT. Place, Glenageary County, Dublin, Ireland. And our source is Astro Data Bank, DD, rated C, rectified by the author. Alright, so our natal chart overview, again, rectified. We have our planet position, tropical. We have our house, placidus, our sign ruler, and key aspects. So Sun, 16 degrees Sag, 11, in the 9th house. Jupiter, opposite Saturn, square Moon. Alright. We see Moon, 10 degrees Virgo, 07, in the 5th house. Mercury square Sun, and trine Pluto. Mercury, 5 degrees Sag, 44, in the 8th house. Jupiter conjunct Pluto, square Saturn. Venus, 20 degrees Capricorn, 33, in the 10th house. Saturn conjunct Neptune. Mars, 8 degrees Libra, 55, in the 7th house. Venus trine Jupiter, sextile Saturn. Jupiter, 1 degrees Virgo, 37, in the 5th house. Mercury trine Mars. Saturn, 24 degrees Pisces, 08, in the 12th house. Neptune, Jupiter, opposite Sun, square Mercury. Uranus, 23 degrees Leo, 22, in the 4th house. Sun, sextile Venus. Right? Neptune, 23 degrees Scorpio, 13, in the 8th house. Pluto, Mars conjunct Venus, trine Mars. And Pluto, 20 degrees Virgo, 36, in the 6th house. Mercury conjunct Moon, and square the nodes. Alright, so now that we have gone over our natal chart overview, or we can say our NCO, and it's rectified, so we say REC here. We can now look at our Sterling Creative Coefficient, SCC. We see it 0.94 out of 1.00. So our interpretation: extremely high creative volatility. Art is a survival mechanism for this individual, for multiple reasons we'll go over. With our key configurations, we see KC. Alright? Sagittarius Sun, opposite Saturn and Pisces in the 12th house. So this is a signature of the wounded prophet. Sun in Sag seeks truth, meaning, and spiritual expansion. Opposite Saturn, which is the planet of restriction, authority in the father, and in the sign of Pisces, which is a sign of sacrifice, martyrdom in the church, and located in the 12th house of hidden enemies, institutions, and self-undoing. It explains O'Connor's lifelong war with the Catholic Church. The opposition creates a pendulum. She was both drawn to spiritual authority, she briefly studied for the priesthood, and compelled to destroy it, ripping the Pope's photo on SNL. The 12th house placement indicates that the church was not merely an external enemy, but an internalized one. Her own psyche was the battlefield. Right? Now we observe Moon in Virgo, conjunct Pluto in Virgo, 5th, 6th house. So, the Lunar Trauma Index, or LTI, for this configuration is 0.89, extremely high. Moon-Pluto aspects indicate a mother wound of profound intensity. In O'Connor's case, her mother was physically and emotionally abusive, dying in a car crash when Cindy was 18. The Virgo placement adds a dimension of ritual purification. Her shaved head, Virgo, is austerity. Her clear, precise vocal style, Virgo, is perfectionism, or perceived perfectionism. In her lifelong struggle with mental health, Pluto is psychological death and rebirth cycles. The 5th house of creativity and 6th house of health and service indicate that her art and her illness were the same process. She sang to survive. Mercury conjunct Pluto in Sag in the 8th house. It's the signature of the truth teller who cannot lie. Mercury-Pluto aspects produce a laser-like mind that penetrates to the core of any subject, right? In the 8th house of death, sex, and taboo, and in Sag, religion, law, publishing, O'Connor's words were weapons. Her open letters to Pope John Paul II, her criticisms of the music industry, her revelations about her own trauma, all bear the Mercury-Pluto stamp. I will speak what is hidden, and I will not be silenced by your discomfort. And a lot of her songs were very politically charged. I mean, most of them. So, also Venus-Neptune conjunction in Capricorn in the 10th house. Venus conjunct Neptune is a signature of the sacrificial artist, one who merges love with suffering, beauty with dissolution. In Capricorn, career, public standing, and the 10th house, fame. This explains why her commercial success was always unstable. She was too real for the machinery of fame. The Neptune influence made her both iconic, the Nothing Compares to You video, a single close-up shot of her face, and impossible to market. She refused to play the game. The conjunction also correlates with her androgynous beauty and her struggle with substance abuse. Neptune is dissolution. Alright? Transits at key events. The SNL performance, which occurred October 3rd, 1992, transiting Uranus, which is the planet of shock, at 15 degrees Leo, was exactly opposite Cindy's natal sun at 16 degrees Sag, a 180 degrees aspect of sudden revolutionary action. Transiting Pluto, the planet of transformation, at 20 degrees Scorpio, was conjunct her natal Neptune at 23 degrees Scorpio, dissolving the boundary between her personal truth and public performance. She tore the photo not as a calculated act, but as a possession. The planets demanded it. And then we look at her conversion to Islam, October 2018, transiting Jupiter expansion at 24 degrees Scorpio, conjunct her natal Neptune, 23 degrees Scorpio, and Venus, 20 degrees Capricorn. A spiritual expansion that merged her existing mystical tendencies, Neptune, with a structured authority. Capricorn is Islam's legal tradition. Transiting Saturn, commitment at 3 degrees Capricorn with sextile her natal sun. A disciplined embrace of a new identity. Then we look at her death, which occurred July 26, 2023. Transiting Pluto at 29 degrees Capricorn, anaretic degree, was exactly square her natal moon Pluto conjunction in Virgo. A final Plutonic transformation of the emotional body. Transiting Saturn at 7 degrees Pisces was conjunct her natal Saturn, 24 degrees Pisces. No, because the orb is 17 degrees, so it's too wide. Correction, Saturn at 7 degrees Pisces is square her Sun. Nope, let's check. Sun, 16 degrees Sag, Saturn, 7 degrees Pisces has a 79 degrees angle. A quincunx, 150 degrees, actually 16 degrees Sag, 7 degrees Pisces is 16 degrees Sag to 0 degrees Capricorn, becoming 14 degrees plus 30 degrees Capricorn to Aquarius. We stop and we see the key is her progressed moon was at 29 degrees Scorpio, conjunct her natal Neptune, activating the Venus-Neptune sacrificial signature. She died of natural causes, which is COPD and asthma, but the chart shows a soul that had completed its cycles. And we see here the shaved head as Saturnine protest. O'Connor's shaved head, a radical act in 1987, and for some reason girls with short hair are still seen as the end of the world. It wasn't a fashion choice, okay? It was a Saturnine rejection of Venusian artifice. Her Venus in Capricorn, which is restrained and austere, and Saturn opposite the Sun, the father's law, combined to produce a woman who refused to be looked at as an object. She removed her hair, Venus's domain, to force the world to hear her words. Mercury, Pluto, this act more than any song defined her legacy, a prophet who burned the temple down to save the truth inside. Now I want to talk about Santi Gold, who was born Santi White, September 25th, 1975. We see the date, the time is rectified to 4:30 p.m. EDT, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, right? And we see here, Sun is fallen or debilitated at 2 degrees Libra, 04, in the 7th house, opposite Saturn, trining Neptune. We see Moon at 21 degrees Gemini, 44, in the 3rd house, sextiling Jupiter and squaring Venus. Mercury at 5 degrees Libra, 18, in the 7th house, conjunct Sun, opposite Saturn. Venus, 9 degrees Virgo, 08, in the 6th house, squaring Moon, trining Pluto. Mars at 26 degrees Gemini, 16, in the 3rd house, conjunct Moon, trine Uranus. Jupiter, 21 degrees Aries, 08, in the 12th house, opposite Moon. Wait, Aries to Gemini, 60 degrees, so sextile, actually Moon, 21 degrees Gem, Jupiter, 21 degrees Aries equals 60 degrees, so sextile. Saturn, 2 degrees Leo, 47, in the 5th house, opposite Sun and Mercury. Uranus, 2 degrees Scorpio, 24, in the 8th house, trining Mars. Neptune, 9 degrees Sagittarius, 08, in the 9th house, trining Sun. You see Pluto, 9 degrees Libra, 37, in the 7th house, conjunct Mercury. 9 degrees Libra versus 5 degrees Libra equals 4 degrees Orb, trining Venus. So our Sterling Creative Coefficient, our SEC, is 0.81 out of 1.00. So we interpret high innovation, genre blending, controlled chaos. We see Sun, Mercury, and Libra, opposite Saturn and Leo, 7th, 5th house axes. Now the Libra Sun seeks harmony, partnership, and aesthetic balance, but that's Libra in general, wants these things. Alright, in opposite Saturn and Leo, the sign of performance, ego, and the spotlight, creates a tension between collaboration and authority. Santi Gold's music is deeply collaborative, Libra, yet fiercely independent, Saturn and Leo. I will rule my own stage. This opposition explains her career trajectory. She started as a record executive behind the scenes and became a solo artist fronting her own band, but she consistently avoids the diva trap by foregrounding her band and dancers as equals. Moon-Mars conjunction in Gemini in the 3rd house. So this is the signature of the rapid-fire communicator. Moon-Mars aspects produce emotional intensity expressed through action. In Gemini, words, information, multiplicity in the 3rd house of communication. Santi Gold's lyrics are clever, fast, and confrontational. She can shift emotional registers in a single verse from playful to angry to vulnerable, because the Moon, emotion, and Mars, action, are fused. The 3rd house placement also correlates with her background as a sociology major, analysis of social systems, and her use of sampling, recombining existing texts. Alright? Venus in Virgo trine Pluto in Libra. 6th, 7th house. So Venus in Virgo is often considered weak, detached, analytical, and debilitated and fallen, but trine Pluto gives it transformative power. Santi Gold's aesthetic is meticulously crafted, Virgo, but carries a dark, sensual undertow, Pluto. The 6th house, service, daily work, the 7th house, partnerships, trine suggests that her collaborative relationships are also therapeutic. She works with others to heal and transform. Alright, transits at career breakthrough, 2008, Santi Gold album release, so her self-titled. Alright, now we're going to focus up. Her progressed Sun entered Scorpio in 2007, giving her music a darker, more confrontational edge compared to her earlier work as a songwriter for others. And we see the genre bender as Mercury-Uranus dialectic. So Santi Gold lacks strong Uranus aspects natally, only Mars trine Uranus, wide orb, yet her music is quintessentially alternative and unpredictable. The explanation here is her Mercury in Libra, ruled by Venus in Virgo, creating a dialectical aesthetic. She juxtaposes opposites, punk and reggae, electronic and organic, high art and low culture, because Libra seeks balance through tension. She is not a rebel, Uranus, but a synthesizer, and that is more revolutionary. Alright? Now let's talk about Adium Daimot, who was born December 18th, 1982. We're going to say noon for time of birth in Stockholm, Sweden. And we see Sun, 26 degrees Sag 11, squaring Saturn, sextile Pluto. Moon, 11 degrees Aquarius 56, conjunct Uranus, opposite Mars. Mercury, 17 degrees Capricorn 28, conjunct Venus, trine Jupiter. Venus, 13 degrees Capricorn 39, conjunct Mercury, trine Jupiter. Mars, 18 degrees Aquarius 36, opposite the Moon, conjunct Uranus. 18 degrees Aquarius versus 11 degrees Aquarius is 7 degrees orb, which is wide. Jupiter, 25 degrees Scorpio 38, trine Mercury, Venus. And Saturn, 2 degrees Scorpio 44, squared the Sun. Right? And this is tropical. So, Uranus at 8 degrees Sag is sextile Moon, 11 degrees Aquarius, 60 degrees orb, 3 degrees. And we see Neptune, 28 degrees Sag, 10, conjunct the Sun, 2 degrees orb. Pluto, 29 degrees Libra, 51, sextile Sun. So, our SCC is 0.73 out of 1.00. We interpret a niche artist with a cult following, emotional depth over commercial reach. Why might that be? Well, Sun-Neptune conjunction in Sag, 0 degrees orb difference, 26 degrees versus 28 degrees, so 2 degrees orb is strong. Signature of the mystical artist, one whose identity is dissolved into the art. Adium Daimot's music, indie pop, ethereal vocals, carries a dreamlike quality. Sagittarius placement adds a restless, searching quality. Her lyrics often explore travel, escape, and the search for meaning. The square to Saturn, at 2 degrees Scorpio, indicates that this mystical tendency is constantly checked by reality. She is not a flaky artist, but a disciplined one who has struggled with the harshness of the industry. Right. Moon in Aquarius conjunct Uranus, wide orb, but Moon at 11 degrees Aquarius, Uranus at 8 degrees Sag, not conjunct. Let's recheck. Uranus is in Sag, not Aquarius, which means I made an error and we need to correct. So Moon at 11 degrees Aquarius, Uranus at 8 degrees Sag, that's a 33 degrees difference, not a conjunction. The Moon is actually opposite Mars, 18 degrees Aquarius, that's 7 degrees orb, which is a weak opposition. The Moon's only strong aspect is a square to an unknown planet. No! Let's recalc properly using noon positions for December 18th, 1982, using the actual ephemeris. So Sun at 26 degrees Sag, 13, Moon 18 degrees Aquarius, 44, not 11 degrees. My earlier was wrong. Mercury 16 degrees Capricorn, 58, Venus 12 degrees Cap, 30, Mars 19 degrees Aquarius, 13, so a lot of it's still the same. Jupiter 26 degrees Scorpio, 32, Saturn 3 degrees Scorpio, 05, Uranus 8 degrees Sag, 29, Neptune 27 degrees Sag, 50, and Pluto 29 degrees Libra, 53. So, our corrected Moon here, 18 degrees Aquarius, 44, Mars at 19 degrees Aquarius, 13. That's a conjunction, not opposition. Moon-Mars conjunct in Aquarius, and this is crucial because it gives emotional intensity expressed through intellectual detachment. Aquarius in action, Mars. Her vocal style is cool, but powerful, controlled, but passionate. Alright? Now we see Mercury, Venus conjunction in Capricorn, trine Jupiter and Scorpio, and this is a signature of the literate songwriter. Mercury, Venus, and Capricorn produces lyrics that are structured, intelligent, and slightly melancholic, because that's Capricorn, Saturnine weight. The trine to Jupiter and Scorpio adds emotional depth and a touch of the taboo. Her songs often deal with desire, loss, and transformation. Alright, transits at the album release, her self-titled debut. Transiting Pluto at 4 degrees Capricorn was conjunct her Mercury Venus, 16, 12 degrees Cap, a 4, 8 degrees orb, applying in this gave her debut album a plutonic intensity that bellied its indie pop production. Transiting Jupiter at 21 degrees Pisces, trine her Sun at 26 degrees Sag, expansion of her artistic reach into international markets, Germany, where she found success the most. So Adium Daimot's music does not sound typically Swedish, unlike ABBA's melodic precision or the Knife's electronic experimentalism. Her chart explains this. The Sun, Neptune, and Sag gives her a rootless, nomadic quality, while the Moon, Mars, and Aquarius gives her an almost punk independence. She is a cosmopolitan by chart design, born in Stockholm but belonging nowhere. Now we're going to go over Miley Cyrus, who was born November 23rd, 1992. We're going to say 10:10 a.m. EST, which is verified, by the way, in Franklin, Tennessee. We're using Astro Data Bank AA, so accurate. Alright, and this time it's placed it as for our planet position house and key aspects. So, we see a lot of Sagittarius placements for a lot of these celebrities, as well, and a lot of fire placements. So, give me 1 second. Alright, so Sun is at 1 degree Sag 30 in the 11th house, squaring Jupiter, trining Uranus. Excuse me. Moon is at 19 degrees Scorpio 06 in the 10th house, conjunct Pluto, squaring Saturn. Already off the bat, we're seeing success. Moon in the 10th house, Sun is in the 11th house, Mercury's in the 11th house. We're seeing success already. So Mercury, 9 degrees Sag, 42, 11th, conjunct Uranus, 9 degrees Sag versus 14 degrees Sag is 5 degrees orb, so yes, it is conjunct. Venus, 5 degrees Capricorn, 15 in the 12th house, sextiling Pluto. Mars, 13 degrees Cancer, 37 in the 6th house, opposite Uranus, squaring Saturn. Jupiter, 7 degrees Libra, 14 in the 8th house, squaring the Sun, trining Moon. Saturn, 15 degrees Aquarius, 03 in the 1st house, squaring Moon, opposite actually 15 degrees Aquarius squared 19 degrees Scorpio, 94 degrees orb, yes, because technically square. Uranus, 14 degrees Sag, 21 in the 11th, conjunct Mercury, trine the Sun. And Neptune, 18 degrees Capricorn, 05 in the 12th, conjunct the Ascendant, because the Ascendant is at 21 degrees Capricorn, 3 degrees orb. And we see Pluto at 23 degrees Scorpio, 45 in the 10th, conjunct the Moon. So we see our SCC is 0.92 out of 1.00. Extremely high adaptability and reinvention. Identity is performance. Alright, why is that? Sun and Sag squaring Jupiter and Libra, 1 degrees versus 7 degrees, 6 degrees orb, but squared by sign. It's the signature of excess as expression. Sun, Jupiter square in mutable signs, so Sag, Libra, creates a person who cannot do things by halves. Miley's career is a series of extreme reinventions, from Disney, twerking provocateur, country rock artist, metal punk collaborator. The square is a perpetual engine of discontent. She is always reaching for the next horizon because the current one is never enough, alright? And we see Moon-Pluto conjunction in Scorpio in the 10th. Lunar Trauma Index, our LTI, for this configuration is 0.96, near maximum. Because why? Moon, Pluto, and Scorpio in the 10th house of career and public image means that her emotional wounds are her brand. Her father, Billy Ray Cyrus, also a musician, shaped her early career, Disney, but she has spent her adult life killing that image. Pluto is death and rebirth. The 10th house placement means the world watches her transform. Her bad girl phase was not rebellion, but a public autopsy of her child star self. Alright, Uranus conjunct Mercury and Sag in the 11th is the signature of the shock communicator. Mercury-Uranus aspects produce rapid, unconventional thinking. In Sag, this translates to philosophical provocations delivered through media. Miley's use of social media, her unexpected collaborations with Metallica with Wayne Coyne, Dolly Parton, and her willingness to say anything in interviews all stem from this placement. The 11th house is the house of social networks, audiences, and it means her shocks are designed for collective consumption. Alright? Venus and Capricorn in the 12th house, the hidden heart. Venus in Capricorn is restrained, pragmatic, and often late blooming in love. In the 12th house of hidden things, it suggests that her romantic life, her marriage to Liam Hemsworth, her subsequent relationships is also very intensely private despite her public persona. The 12th house also correlates with her struggles around substance use, so Venus is pleasure. The 12th house is self-undoing and her spiritual interests. She has spoken about using psychedelics for therapeutic purposes. Alright, let's talk about her transits at key career moments, like the Bangers era from 2013 through 2014. We see transiting Pluto at 9 degrees Capricorn was conjunct her Venus, 5 degrees Capricorn. A plutonic transformation of her image, transiting Uranus at 12 degrees Aries, would square her sun, 1 degree Sag. Sudden, shocking reinvention. The twerking at the VMAs was not a choice, it was a transit. Alright? Plastic Heart album. Transiting Saturn at 1 degrees Aquarius was conjunct her natal Saturn, 15 degrees Aquarius, a 14 degrees orb. Nope, because that's too wide. Actually, Saturn returned to Aquarius in 2020, but her Saturn is at 15 degrees Aquarius. The conjunction would be in 2022 through 2023. For Plastic Hearts, released November 2020, the key transit was Mars at 15 degrees Aries trine her Sun, giving her the aggression to pivot to rock. Divorce from Liam Hemsworth. 2019 through 2020, transiting Pluto at 22 degrees Capricorn was square her Moon Pluto conjunction, 19 through 23 degrees Scorpio, a plutonic crisis of emotional identity. The divorce was a death and rebirth, perfectly aligned with the transit. And we look at the Hannah Montana exorcism. Alright. So Miley Cyrus's entire career can be read as a plutonic exorcism of her Disney persona, because the Moon, Pluto, and Scorpio in the 10th house means she cannot simply leave the past behind. She must virtually kill it in public. Now, like the Wrecking Ball video, naked on a demolition ball, that's a visual representation of this. The destruction of the child star, the Wrecking Ball, using her own adult sexuality, nakedness as the weapon. Her subsequent reinventions, country, rock, metal, are not genre experiments but further deaths. Each album kills the Miley of the previous album, and the world watches. It's not to say that her music isn't good, it's just to mean that she likes to, always have other genres to do. She's multitasking, is what I mean. So we're going to go over Lindsay Lohan next, who was born July 2nd in 1986. And we have the time rectified to 10:30 p.m. EDT. New York. Astro Data Bank, shout out. DD, rated C, rectified. Alright. So, we're going to go over Lindsay Lohan, and then I'm pretty sure... Let's see here. We're also going to go over Marvin Gaye. Just wondering how many we have left here. We're also going to go over Marilyn Manson for some reason. Because fuck it. Thomas Dolby, I don't know if you guys know him or not, but you will after this video, hopefully. Rob Zombie, we're going over a few different case studies. Grimes, I'm pretty sure we already talked about. Or maybe we talked about Grimes and Elon. Alright. I just wanted to take like a handful of artists and put them in here, so we're gonna go over like probably 9 of them. Yep. And then we'll combine and show you guys how to synthesize this. All right. So Lindsay Lohan has Sun at 10 degrees Cancer, 29 in the 8th house, opposite Saturn, squaring Pluto. Moon at 12 degrees Taurus, 13 in the 4th house, trining Neptune, sextiling Jupiter. Mercury at 20 degrees Gemini, 23 in the 7th, conjunct Mars. Venus, 3 degrees Virgo, 09, 9th, trine Uranus. Mars, 25 degrees Gemini, 54, 8th, conjunct Mercury, square Saturn. Jupiter, 21 degrees Pisces, 19, 2nd, trine Moon, sextile Pluto possibly. Saturn, 28 degrees Scorpio, 50, 12th, opposite Sun, square Mars. Uranus, 18 degrees Sag, 49, 1st, trine Venus. Neptune, 5 degrees Capricorn, 11, 1st, trine Moon. Pluto, 4 degrees Scorpio, 37, 11th, square the Sun. Our Sterling Forensic Pathology Index, or our SFPI, is 0.87 out of 1.00. High vulnerability to addiction, legal trouble, and public collapse. Before we dig into that, why might that be? Could it be because Sun is in the 8th house and it's opposite Saturn and squaring Pluto? Moon is in the 4th house and it is exalted, but it's sextiling Jupiter and Pisces, expanding dissolution. Alright? And then trining Neptune, which is in Capricorn. Capricorn is a workaholic that can really get into drugs that'll keep you up, like Adderall or meth or stimulants. So, we see Sun in Cancer opposite Saturn in Scorpio, 8th, 12th house axis, and it's a signature of the wounded caretaker. So Sun in Cancer craves security, home, and maternal protection. Opposite Saturn in Scorpio, restriction, fear, the hidden in the 12th house, self-undoing institutions, creates a lifelong struggle with authority, parents, the law, the court system. Lohan's relationship with her father, Michael Lohan, a constant source of legal and emotional chaos, is written here. The 8th house Sun, shared resources, other people's money, correlates with her early career as a child star, and she was the family's breadwinner. We could also possibly see this with Macaulay Culkin. If we see, I know he's a Sun in Leo, but I don't know if Sun is in Leo and it's in the 8th house. We see child stardom. Alright, so Moon in Taurus, exalted, yes, in the 4th house. The need for stability, though. So Moon in Taurus is normally a stable central placement. It's exalted. But here it is the only Earth in her chart, aside from Venus and Virgo, which is debilitated and fallen. So her Moon craves material security, yet her Sun and Mercury, immutable water and air, keep her in chaos. Tension between her emotional need for stability, Moon in Taurus, and her public life of chaos, Sun-Saturn opposition, is the engine of her addiction cycle. She uses substances to calm the anxiety of the Saturn opposition, but the substances create more chaos, alright? Mercury-Mars conjunction in Gemini, 7th, 8th house cusp. It's a signature of the sharp-tongued provocateur. Mercury-Mars aspects produce quick wit and a tendency to say things that start fights. So in Gemini, the sign of communication, in the 8th house, house of scandals and secrets, Lohan's interviews and public statements have often landed her in trouble. Conjunction also correlates with her acting style. She is a natural mimic, Gemini with aggressive energy, Mars. Alright, Neptune, Uranus conjunction in Capricorn in the 1st house. Signature of the identity crisis, Neptune, dissolution, and Uranus, shock, and Capricorn, structure, authority in the 1st house. Self, body. It means that her sense of self is constantly dissolving and reforming. It explains her multiple public personas, child star, party girl, fashion designer, comeback artist, and her struggles with body image. Neptune is distorted self-perception. The 1st house placement means the world sees this crisis play out in real time. We look at transits at key events, car crash, and probation violations. Transiting Saturn at 29 degrees Leo was opposite her natal moon, 12 degrees Taurus, a 47 degrees orb. Nope. Actually, Saturn in Virgo, 2007 through 2010, was squaring her moon, 12 degrees Taurus. It's a 90 degree square. Exact when Saturn reached 12 degrees Virgo in 2008. Saturn square moon is depression, restriction of emotional expression, and legal consequences for emotional actions. Her multiple arrests coincided with this transit. Alright? We see her attempted comeback in 2024. The key is that her progressed Sun entered Leo in 2023, giving her a new sense of confidence and performance drive. Her recent return to acting, Falling for Christmas, Irish Wish, aligns with this progress shift. Alright? So Lindsay Lohan's chart is a study in public punishment. Sun opposite Saturn in the 8th, 12th house axis means that her private struggles, Saturn in the 12th, are always exposed. Sun in the 8th, shared resources, but also shared secrets. Paparazzi, tabloids, court appearances are not external forces. They are the manifestation of her Saturn return, which occurred in 2016, 2017 when she moved to Dubai to escape the chaos. Her move to Dubai was a Saturnine choice, restriction, discipline, and a legal system that does not tolerate paparazzi. She did not change her nature. She changed her environment to match her Saturn. Alright? On to Marvin Gaye, who was born April 2nd, 1939. We're going to rectify to 9 p.m. EST, Washington, D.C. Alright, and we see Sun, 12 degrees Aries, 13 in the 7th house, conjunct Mercury, square Neptune. Moon, 28 degrees Leo, 34 in the 11th, opposite Saturn. Mercury, 6 degrees Aries, 48 in the 6th, conjunct Sun, square Neptune. Venus, 28 degrees Aquarius, 04 in the 5th, trine Saturn. Mars, 3 degrees Sag, 32 in the 1st, trine Sun. Jupiter, 21 degrees Pisces, 16 in the 4th, square Uranus. Saturn, 16 degrees Aries, 21 in the 7th, opposite Moon, trine Venus. Uranus, 16 degrees Taurus, 17, 8th, square Jupiter. Neptune, 21 degrees Virgo, 05 in the 11th, square Sun, Mercury. Pluto, 29 degrees Cancer, 21 in the 10th, trine Saturn. Nope. Because 29 degrees Cancer to 16 degrees Aries is 73 degrees, so no. Alright, And our SCC is 0.98 out of 1.00, one of the highest SCC scores, music as spiritual and erotic transcendence. So we're going to go over these key configurations really quick. Sun, Mercury, and Aries in the 7th, opposite Moon and Leo in the 11th. Alright, signature of the performer as warrior. Sun, Mercury, and Aries gives a direct, confrontational, and pioneering communication style. Gay's lyrics were unflinching from sexual liberation and let's get it on to social critique and what's going on. The opposition to the Moon in Leo, dramatic, proud, needing applause, creates a tension between his private emotional life, Leo Moon, craves admiration, and his public message, Aries Sun, demands the truth. Tension produced his greatest work. He was always performing, even when singing about his own pain. We see Venus in Aquarius in the 5th, trine Saturn and Aries in the 7th. So Venus in Aquarius is unconventional, experimental, and detached. Trine Saturn in Aries, it adds discipline and longevity to his creative output. This aspect explains why Gay's music is both erotic, Venus, and socially conscious. Saturn in Aries is leadership through structure. He was not just a soul singer, he was a philosopher of love who used the recording studio as a laboratory. Alright, Sun, Mercury, square Neptune, and Virgo. And this is a signature of the tormented artist. Square creates confusion between reality and illusion, truth and fantasy. Gay struggled with substance abuse, cocaine, tax problems, and mental health issues, paranoia, depression. Neptune squared to his Sun means he could never fully trust his own perception. Was the applause real? Was the love real? This uncertainty drove him to create music that questioned everything, including the nature of love itself. Alright, Jupiter in Pisces in the 4th, square Uranus and Taurus in the 8th. Jupiter in Pisces expands spiritual and musical boundaries. He was raised in a religious household, the son of a Pentecostal minister. Square Uranus and Taurus creates sudden, shocking breakthroughs in his material and financial life. Gay's career was a series of explosions. What's Going On, defying Motown's formula, Let's Get It On, redefining erotic soul. And his later financial troubles, Uranus square Jupiter, is unexpected gains and losses. Alright? Alright, transits at his death. He died April 1st, 1984. Alright. So, he was shot and killed by his father, Marvin Gaye Sr., on the day before his 45th birthday. And we see transiting Saturn at 13 degrees Scorpio was exactly opposite his natal Sun at 12 degrees Aries. Saturn opposition to the Sun, classic transit for confrontation with authority, father. Transiting Pluto at 1 degree Scorpio was square his natal Venus, 28 degrees Aquarius, a 3 degrees orb, indicating a transformation Pluto of love and family relationships Venus through violence. Transiting Mars at 9 degrees Scorpio was conjunct transiting Saturn, trigger planet of aggression Mars, activating the fatal Saturn opposition. Alright? And now we see the father-son synastry here. So Marvin Gaye Sr. had a natal Sun in Aries as well. He was born April 2nd, 1914, with an unknown time and the two shared a sun sign. But the father's sun was likely in early Aries, 0 through 5 degrees, while Marvin's was at 12 degrees. Fatal shot occurred when transiting Mars, Saturn, and Scorpio squared the father's sun and opposed Marvin's sun. This was a karmic synastry transit, a configuration that appears once in several lifetimes. And we see the father's Saturn. Gay's entire life was a struggle with paternal authority, so both his biological father, a strict abusive minister in the record industry, Berry Gordy, as a father figure, the Sun opposite Moon, Aries Leo, is already a signature of tension between the self and family. The addition of Saturn and Aries in the 7th means that the father was not just an external figure, but an internalized voice of criticism and restriction. The murder was not a random act of violence. It was the final tragic resolution of a Saturn opposition that had been written in the chart since birth. Alright, now we're going to talk about Marilyn Manson, or Brian Hugh Warner, who was born January 5th, 1969, with a time rectified to 8:15 p.m. EST in Canton, Ohio. We see the following placements here. Excuse me. Sun at 15 degrees Capricorn, 06 in the 8th, conjunct Venus square Pluto. Moon at 10 degrees Cancer, 48 in the 2nd, opposite Sun, Venus. Mercury 1 degrees Capricorn, 45 in the 7th, conjunct Saturn square Mars. Venus 13 degrees Capricorn, 18 in the 8th, conjunct Sun opposite Moon. Mars 23 degrees Libra, 57 in the 5th, square Mercury Saturn. Trine Neptune Jupiter 5 degrees Libra 09 in the 4th, trine Uranus. Saturn 0 degrees Aries 27, 10th, conjunct Mercury 0 degrees Aries versus 1 degrees Capricorn. Nope, it is a square. Uranus 4 degrees Libra 48 in the 4th, trine Jupiter. Neptune 28 degrees Scorpio 06 in the 6th, trine Mars. Pluto 24 degrees Virgo 20 in the 4th, square Sun and Venus. Alright, and we get a 0.99 out of 1.00. Maximum capacity for shock, transgression, and public outrage. Alright? How might we get that with what we see here? Could it be Sun in Capricorn in the 8th house, squaring Pluto, which is in Virgo, and we see Venus in Capricorn conjunct the Sun, which is also in the 8th house. Alright, so we see Sun, Venus conjunct in Capricorn, 8th, opposite Moon in Cancer, 2nd. Alright? And this is a signature of the shadow artist. Sun, Venus conjunction in Capricorn gives a disciplined, ambitious, and status-conscious core identity. But the opposition to the Moon in Cancer, nurturing home, family, creates a deep emotional wound. He craves a love he cannot accept. Manson's entire persona, the androgynous, demonic shockrocker, is a reaction formation against the soft, vulnerable Moon in Cancer. He performs monstrosity because vulnerability was punished in his childhood. You see Pluto in Virgo in the 4th, square Sun, Venus in the 8th. It's the signature of the domestic terrorist, not politically, but psychically. So Pluto in the 4th house of family and roots, square the Sun, which is your identity, and Venus, love, in the 8th house of death, sex, and taboo, indicates that his family of origin was the site of profound trauma. Manson has spoken about being sexually assaulted by a neighbor as a child, and his relationship with his parents was abusive. The square means he cannot heal this trauma privately. He must enact it on stage in his art and in his relationships. Alright. He also has a Mercury square Saturn here, and it's a signature of a dark, pessimistic, and often cruel intellect. His lyrics are meticulously crafted Saturn, but nihilistic, square to Mercury. Neptune and Scorpio in the 6th, trine Mars and Libra in the 5th. Neptune trine Mars gives the ability to channel spiritual or unconscious energy into action. So in Scorpio in the 6th and Libra in the 5th, this manifests as a ritualistic performance. His concerts are theatrical, transgressive, and designed to induce altered states in the audience. In the 6th house of health, daily work, also correlates with his well-documented struggles with substance abuse. So Neptune is dissolution. The 6th house is bodily health. Alright? We have transits at the allegations and legal troubles. Am I saying he's guilty or not guilty? I mean, he may be, because a lot of these celebrities in Hollywood do a lot of fucked up shit. So, transiting Pluto at 25 degrees Capricorn was conjunct to Sun, Venus, 13 through 15 degrees Cap, at 10 through 12 degrees orb, but Pluto's transit through Capricorn from 2008 through 2024 has been a slow motion reckoning for his entire generation. Specific trigger for the public allegations, February of 2021, was transiting Mars at 19 degrees Taurus, square Sun, Venus, a 4 through 6 degrees orb, activating the Pluto transit. Transiting Saturn at 7 degrees Aquarius was square as Moon at 10 degrees Cancer, a 3 degrees orb, indicating legal restrictions and emotional consequences. Alright. Marilyn Manson's chart is a map of the abyss that looks back. The Sun, Venus, and Capricorn in the 8th wants power, control, and legacy. The Moon in Cancer in the 2nd wants safety, love, and home. These two cannot coexist. His art is the bridge over the chasm, but the bridge is made of shocking imagery, sexual violence, and psychological torture. He does not create monsters. He is the monster, and the monster is the wound that will not heal. The allegations against him are not separate from his art. They are its logical, tragic extension. The stars did not make him abusive, but they wrote the script he chose to follow. Alright. Thomas Dolby. This is more of a lighthearted case. He was born October 14th, 1958. Well, he was nude at the time in London, England, the UK. We see he has Sun at 20 degrees Libra, 31 square Neptune, trine Mars. Moon, 17 degrees Scorpio, 49 conjunct Pluto, sextile in Uranus. Mercury, 8 degrees Libra, 28 conjunct Jupiter, opposite Saturn. Venus, 6 degrees Sag, 48 trine Uranus. Mars, 22 degrees Taurus, 07, trine Sun, opposite Moon, 22 degrees Taurus versus 17 degrees Scorpio, 145 degrees, quincunx. Jupiter, 3 degrees Scorpio, 08, conjunct Mercury, square Saturn. Saturn, 22 degrees Sagittarius, 48, opposite Mercury, square Jupiter. Uranus, 16 degrees Leo, 28, sextile Moon, trine Venus. Neptune, 4 degrees Scorpio, 28, square the Sun. And Pluto, 4 degrees Virgo, 00, sextile Neptune. Alrighty. So our STAC is 0.85 out of 1.00. High innovation at the intersection of music and technology, right? That's what we see. Alright, so we're going to go over the Sun in Libra and how it's squared Neptune and Scorpio. Alright, this is a signature of the visionary illusionist. The Sun in Libra seeks harmony, balance, and aesthetic perfection. Square Neptune and Scorpio adds a layer of mystery, mystery, depth, and the occult. Alright, Thomas Dolby's music, which is synth pop, new wave from the early 80s, is defined by its atmospheric cinematic quality. He is a composer of soundscapes, not just songs. The square creates tension between clarity, Libra, and ambiguity, Neptune, which is why his biggest hit, She Blinded Me with Science, is both a catchy pop song and a bizarre quasi-scientific satire. Alright, on to Mercury-Jupiter conjunction in Scorpio, opposite Saturn and Sag, and it's a signature of the polymath. Mercury-Jupiter aspects give a broad, encyclopedic mind. In Scorpio, this intelligence is penetrating and investigative. Opposite Saturn and Sag adds discipline, Saturn, to his expansive thinking, Jupiter, but also creates a lifelong struggle between wanting to know everything, Jupiter, and feeling that knowledge is never enough, Saturn. Dolby's career as a musician, tech entrepreneur, Beatnik, the company that created the polyphonic ringtone, and educator, Johns Hopkins, reflects this opposition. He is never satisfied with one domain, kind of like with Miley Cyrus and Sinead O'Connor. Dolby has a Moon-Pluto conjunction, but in Scorpio, the sign of Pluto's rulership, it's an even more intense, alright? So his emotional life is characterized by depth, secrecy, and the need for transformation. He has spoken little about his childhood or personal struggles, but the conjunction suggests a traumatic or intensely transformative relationship with his mother or early home life. In the Scorpio placement means he processes emotions through art, his music is his therapy, and he keeps the raw material private. Alright. Alright, so Venus in Sag, trine Uranus in Leo. It's a signature of the eccentric romantic. Venus in Sag seeks love through adventure and intellectual connection. Trine Uranus in Leo adds a flair for the dramatic, the unexpected, and the technologically innovative. His marriage to actress Kathleen Beller and their subsequent divorce reflects this Uranian influence, sudden, passionate, and ultimately unstable. Alright, transits at career peak, She Blinded Me with Science, which came out in 1982. Transiting Uranus at 5 degrees Sag was conjunct his Venus, which is 6 degrees Sag, a shock of creativity and technological obsession. The song's music video, featuring real scientist Magnus Pike, was a perfect Uranus and Sag artifact, eccentric, educational, and unforgettable. Transiting Jupiter at 8 degrees Scorpio was conjunct his Mercury-Jupiter, 3 through 8 degrees Scorpio, expansion of his intellectual and musical reach. Scientist as rock star. Thomas Dolby's chart explains the central paradox of his career. He's a serious technologist who became famous for a novelty song. Alright, Sun square Neptune is illusion, and Mercury-Jupiter opposite Saturn is knowledge versus discipline. Created a person who could make complex synthesis accessible and who was then typecast as a one-hit wonder. Because the public could not follow him into his deeper work, he did not fail pop music. Pop music failed him. His later career as a tech entrepreneur and professor is a Saturnine victory. He turned his limitation, being dismissed as a novelty, into a strength. He left the music industry before it could destroy him. Alright, now on to Rob Zombie. Or Robert Bartley Cummings, who was born January 12th, 1965. We're going to say 4:30 p.m. EST in Haverhill, Massachusetts. We see Sun at 22 degrees Capricorn, 14 in the 9th house, conjunct Uranus, square Pluto. Moon, 26 degrees Aries, 23 in the 12th, square Sun. Mercury, 10 degrees Capricorn, 35 in the 8th, conjunct Venus. Venus, 6 degrees Capricorn, 22 in the 8th, conjunct Mercury. Mars at 15 degrees Leo and 48 in 3rd, opposite Uranus, square Saturn. Jupiter, 23 degrees Taurus, 48 in the 1st, trine Pluto. Saturn, 2 degrees Pisces, 51 in the 10th, square Mars. Uranus, 13 degrees Virgo, 35 in the 4th, opposite Mars, conjunct Sun. 13 degrees Virgo versus 22 degrees Capricorn equals 99 degrees, so square. Neptune, 18 degrees Scorpio, 19, 6th, trine Venus. And Pluto, 16 degrees Virgo, 29, 4th, square Sun. Alright, 0.96 out of 1.00. Maximum capacity for creating gore. Sorry about the Chinese in there. Gore and the grotesque as art. Alright? So Sun in Capricorn conjunct Uranus, 22 degrees versus 13 degrees Virgo, not conjunct. Sun at 22 degrees Capricorn, Uranus at 13 degrees Virgo. That's a 99 degrees angle, a square, yes. Sun square Uranus. So signature of the revolutionary traditionalists. Capricorn loves structure, discipline, and legacy. Uranus demands rebellion, shock, and the breaking of rules. Square creates an artist who uses traditional forms, rock music, horror films, to subvert expectations. Rob Zombie's music, heavy metal with samples of horror movie dialogue, and his films, gritty realistic reboots of Halloween, The Devil's Rejects, are perfect expressions of the square. He respects the genre Capricorn, but destroys its tropes. Uranus. Alright. Sun square Pluto, 22 degrees Cap versus 16 degrees Virgo, 96 degrees Orb square. Signature of the obsessive creator. So Sun-Pluto aspects produce an intensity that borders on the pathological. Zombie's work is saturated with death, violence, and the grotesque, not as shock value, though that is present, but as a genuine exploration of the shadow. The square means he cannot make light, fluffy art. He is compelled to dig into the dark. Alright, Moon in Aries in the 12th, square Sun, 22 degrees Capricorn. So Moon in Aries is impulsive, angry, and quick to fight. And the 12th of Hidden Things, this anger is largely unconscious, but it emerges in his art. The square to the Capricorn Sun means his public identity. Sun is at war with his emotional nature. Moon. He's a disciplined, hard-working director. Capricorn, he makes films about chaotic, violent characters. Moon in Aries, the art is a resolution of the internal war. Alright. And Mercury, Venus, conjunct in Capricorn in the 8th. Signature of the dark romantic. Mercury, Venus, and Capricorn gives a love of structured, intelligent lyrics about love and death. In the 8th house, these themes are explicitly sexual and taboo. Zombies' lyrics are often about monsters, sex, and the undead, but they are delivered with a Capricornian deadpan that makes them even more unsettling. Alright. And now, talk about transits at the film debut. I haven't seen this movie, but House of 1,000 Corpses, which came out in 2003. Transiting Pluto at 21 degrees Sag square his natal Sun, 22 degrees Cap, a 1 degrees Orb, indicating a plutonic transformation of his career. After years of struggling to get the film made, Universal shelved it for 2 years. Its eventual release launched him as a horror director. Transiting Jupiter at 10 degrees Leo was opposite as Mercury, Venus, 6 through 10 degrees Cap, expansion of his creative output into a new medium, which is film. Alright, so with Rob Zombie's aesthetic, it's often dismissed as a schlock or exploitation, but his chart reveals a meticulous architect. The Capricorn Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Capricorn in the 8th means that every gross out moment, every spatter of blood is calculated. He's not a madman. He's a carnival barker who has designed the funhouse to trigger specific psychological responses. Sun square Uranus and Pluto gives him the obsession and the rebellion. He makes horror for people who think they don't like horror, because he understands that the shadow, once confronted, is not terrifying but liberating. Alright, we're not going to go over Grimes in this one because I did talk about her already in Sinistry video. So, now I want to say, we'll just go over this and then end the video here. Alright, Moon Pluto artists, Sinead O'Connor, Miley Cyrus, Thomas Dolby, these are examples. They transform maternal trauma into public ritual. Alright. Sun Saturn artists such as Sandy Gold, Lindsay Lohan, Marvin Gaye, they struggle with the father, with authority, and with the law, and their art is a perpetual appeal to a higher court. The Mercury Neptune artists, Grimes, are perpetually misunderstood, and their art is an attempt to translate the ineffable. Sun, Pluto, artist Rob Zombie, Marilyn Manson are compelled to dig into the shadow, not for shock, but because the shadow is the only place where truth lives. Stars do not make artists, but they write the script that artists spend their lives performing. Genius is not in the chart. It is in the courage to read it, and then to sing, scream, or paint what is written there. Thank you for watching this video with peace and love, Pisces, and out. I will see you in the next one, teaching you more astrology for free. Peace.